against us who could escape. It doesn't matter what a man has done, God is forgiving and will forgive all because God became man that man might become God. But remember, we are always imagining, and regardless of whether you're imagining, I make the statement, imagination creates reality, and I mean that seriously. Imagine as if it were true, I don't care what it is. You can imagine the most incredible thing in the world to be true, and if you are faithful, act is equal to that assumption and live in that state, it will come to pass. Of that, I am convinced and I know from personal experience. That is why I ask you to share with me your experiences, so I may share them with those who come here. Here is one I was told only recently. The gentleman wrote, "While sitting in my office, I was bored and thought, there certainly must be a more pleasant way of earning twice what I am now making. Well, I decided right there and then that I would do it. For a few days I imagined having that amount, and then because nothing changed in my world, I wondered if it was really possible. Immediately I stopped the thought and reenacted the scene, which implied that I was earning twice what I was earning at the moment. I didn't specify what the job was, only the money involved. 2 weeks later, a man I have known casually for 3 years asked me to come work for him. He had never done that before, yet now he was insistent, and when he mentioned the salary, it was exactly twice what I was earning. So I went to work for him. While there, I said to myself, this thing is magic, so why should I work? Why not have an income equal to all that I need without the so-called work? So, this is what I did. I imagined going to my mailbox, opening it and taking out the usual letters, correspondence, bills, and an unidentified envelope. Arriving home, I opened the envelope and found a cheque in the amount I thought I would need for a long non-working period. Then I saw that amount added to my balance sheet from the bank. I did that every night as I went to sleep. 2 weeks later, seeing no evidence of this whatsoever, I said to myself, "Are you going mad? This thing is completely stupid." Then he added as a little aside, "As I once thought you were." Well, he's not the only one who has thought I was mad. Even the one who awoke in Scripture was called mad. Read it in the 10th of John. "No one takes my life, I lay it down myself. I have the power to lay it down and the power to lift it up again." Then those who heard said, "Why do we listen to him? He has a devil and is mad." In New York City in 1939, there was a bookshop on 49th Street where I loved to spend my days. I had no books in print at the time, but the owners had placed my picture in the window. This day, as I approached the bookstore, 2 ladies were looking in the window. One lady pointed to my picture and said, "Do you know who he is? He is the mad mystic of 47th Street. You should hear him. Do you know what he tells people? That their consciousness is God. He tells you that imagining creates reality. Now, isn't that the silliest thing in the world? You must go hear him some night." That took place many years ago, but now this gentleman questions his own sanity as he once had questioned mine. "But," he continues, "2 weeks later I kept a date I had made many months ago with a friend. While we were visiting, he told me he had just inherited a large sum of money from an unknown relative, and he urged upon me the amount to the very dollar that I had imagined, so I took it. That summer, I did all the things I have wanted to do all of my life. I went to the beach, relaxed, and generally enjoyed myself. Then a man I'd never seen before called and asked me to come to work for him. I told him I didn't want to work for anyone, but he was insistent, so I took some of my work and went to see him. The man so liked my work, he called his chief client and we went to see him immediately. When I walked in, I remembered sitting at my desk and allowing my mind to wander. I wandered into that panelled office where I looked through that window at the giant oak. I remembered seeing the man and the plant. Imagination creates reality in the most determined, definite manner man could ever imagine. Not only does the intentional imaginal act create a fact, but everyone is living by this principle every moment of time, whether he knows it or cares to know it. Whether he believes it or wants to believe it, he can't avoid the principle that imagining creates reality. It's not only the intentional imaginal acts, but every imaginal act, for I did not wander into that room intentionally. Now, he said, I have a plant growing in my living room. It's the most luxurious plant you could imagine. Yet every nurseryman tells me the plant cannot live under these conditions. Why is it thriving? because I went forward in my imagination and saw it thriving. Now it is taking over my living room, although all the nursery men tell me it's impossible. If there's evidence for a thing, what you or I think about the matter is not important. What does it matter what anyone thinks if the evidence is produced? He has the evidence, and I can't thank him enough for that letter. These are heavenly stories that I can share with you. I don't care what a man has done. If he knows and applies this wonderful principle of God, he can set himself free. God is a forgiving being. If he held things against us, who could escape? It doesn't matter what a man has done, God is forgiving and will forgive all because God became man that man might become God. But remember, we are always imagining, and regardless of whether your imaginal act is intentional or not, all imaginal acts become facts. Night after night when I go to bed, my imaginative eye opens and I see worlds that are entirely different from this one. And when I intensify my sight, off I go, shot like a meteor to the place I'm contemplating. I step right into that world and it becomes just as real as this one. The energy that is one's imagination is life itself.